Hi, my name is Amit Kumar, and I have around 5 years of experience in Java Backend Developer. Currently, I'm working in Accenture for the Phase Forward client, and I primarily work in banking and capital market domain, where I'm building scalable and event-driven microservices. And my core expertise includes microservices, Java, Spring Boot, and REST API and WebSocket for real-time updates. And in my current project, that is a one-night application. I'm working on a deal and order management system, integrating with also integrated with two components, third party. And I have also worked on a performance optimizations, code refactoring, cyclomatic complexity, and all. And on the deployment side, I use Docker, Kubernetes, and Harness for CI/CD pipeline. Yeah, that's all about myself.
Okay. What is the version of this Spring Boot you used, and my Java version also?
Java, actually we are using a Java 11, but all the features we are using a Java 8 only, filter, HTML API and all. And Spring Boot 2 point something we are using, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. How the microservices is communicated?
So there are in our like project there are asynchronous call we are doing for communication microservices and asynchronous both. So there are two ways to communicate microservices: synchronous and asynchronous. So on asynchronous, that means using REST template we can do that, and asynchronous call we can do that using REST template, and asynchronous call using with any messaging queue like Apache, Kafka, RabbitMQ, and ActiveMQ. And asynchronous, we don't have a client does not have a wait for that server response, and in synchronous call client has to be wait for the server response.
Okay. In synchronous, what type of which thing you use in your
It's REST template we are using.
REST template?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the use of the pagination?
Pagination is like we have a large data set in our kind of any data, right? We are getting the data. So to load the data, we are calling the any API. We have 1 lakh orders, right? So we are not returning to the client whole 1 lakh order in one way. So what we are doing, we just implement the pagination where we pass the pageable, we just implement the pageable interface, and where we pass that page number and all. So particular time of period, that particular page will be loaded at the time. So it will be performance wise, performance will be good in this case. So that's why we are using pagination to improve the performance.
Yeah, Harish, go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah. For a synchronous, what you're using?
Sorry, I didn't get
For
it.
a synchronous communication, what you're using?
For synchronous communication, we can use the REST template.
Asynchronous.
Asynchronous communication, we are using Apache Kafka.
Apache Kafka.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any idea on like the transactional annotation, like what
Yeah,
are the
yeah.
applications they are having in the transaction?
So yeah, so we in our project we are like various kind of like we are using a transaction like so transaction is like it follows like either one operation, either one, either zero, right? If like it is a if all the sub operation will like succeed, then it will be commit, otherwise it will be rollback if anything goes wrong. So transaction annotation, what it is does, so Spring Boot will check if any method is annotated as a transactional annotation, so Spring Boot will intercept that proxies to that. Okay, so once it intercept that proxy, then it will start the begin the transaction, execute that method, then commit or rollback that things, commit that transaction, right? So we have a propagation level also, like we are how method behavior working each other, right? We have a three methods which has a database related things. So we are defining the propagation levels, where we have a required new and remove all. So these are the propagation level types, so where we are defining our as per our requirement.
Okay. What is the difference between new and required new?
Requires new, that means every time it will create the transaction, right? Requires new is the default transaction it's in Spring Boot provides. Requires it default transaction, requires new, it will create the every it will create every time it's a new transaction.
Oh, like Do you have any idea like how do you handle the distributed transactions in the microservices?
We can there are ways to handle the distributed microservices, like we have a saga design pattern. We can implement the saga design pattern using choreography. We have implemented, like using event, it will communicate to the microservices. If one microservices will down, anything goes wrong, then it will be rolled back at the time, or otherwise it will be processed and commit. So we have a two types of saga design pattern, like choreography and orchestration. So orchestration, choreography is event based, orchestration is not event based. It's just a central coordinator. It will talk to that, it will just check all the things.
Yeah, which one is more preferable? Like
I think choreography is more preferable. So we are using any kind of messaging queue. We can implement that event. We are just sending the event to that. If we have a 2 to 3 microservices, right? And we are just break down the transaction in one microservices and two second microservices. So what we'll do, so once in one microservices operation, operation will success, then it will send to that second microservices, and it will communicate using the events to deal with the transactions.
Okay. Do you have any idea like idempotency?
Yeah, idempotency is a very in distributed system. There's very we are facing the issue of idempotency. So we have implemented the deal ID is idempotent, and to make sure we have only one time we are creating the deal. Another time if anyone create the deal, that at the time we are skipping that deal. We are not able to create. We are not allowing to create the deal. And we have also tranche order. In the tranche order, we are just using a unique ID. At the time we are just make that to make the idempotent.
Okay. Like how do you implement the caching? You know?
Yeah, caching, if you want to implement, then we have a Redis, right? Redis, where we pass the key and value pairs, and first we implement the classes configuration class. We just do the configuration Redis factory, and then we just use that as per our requirement in API, like cacheable annotation is so first. Second things we'll do enable caching in our main class, and third things we'll just use that in our HTTP controller, our service classes. Also we can use the cacheable annotation, cache put. If we have updated methods, then cache put and all. So where we can use as per our requirement. So I have used to get the investor, I have used the Redis with the help of with the TTL to STL that, to make sure we don't have a STL data. Yeah.
Okay. Like, can we have multiple databases for the single microservice? Like, how do you configure?
Multiple microservices in Spring Boot we can configure, right? We have to
multiple databases.
Yeah, multiple databases. We can do that.
Yeah, how do we configure? Like, how do we choose a particular one?
Like you are talking about is like if you want to configure multiple databases in Spring Boot, then how can you do that? Or
yeah.
Okay, so if you want to do that, as we know that Spring Boot will handle only single database, right? So if we add the database, then it automatically it will create the data source, entity manager, everything, because of we have auto configuration features. But if you have specify multiple database, then we have to do the manually, right? So whatever we have a multiple database, then we have to create the entity source, data source and all, and then we have to do the manually configuration done for that. Yeah.
How to get the properties from a property file to our class? Like, what are the annotation values? Yeah,
basically, if you want to get the properties from the class in the class, then we can use the value annotations. Using value annotation, we can use that. We can pass that like curly braces in that dollar, and where we pass that properties name, and we can inject that. We can
use. If you want a group of properties, like instead of like having a single property in our class, like if you want a group of related properties, like what is the another?
If you want to group of property, I didn't get you. Can you please elaborate?
Like a group of related properties. Like from by using a iterator value, we can get only the single property, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we can have, we have to repeat the code, like we're using a iterator value for every property, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of that, like at a single time, we can have the multiple properties into the class. What we understand with this.
So if you want to group a property, Basically we are using value annotation to inject to use the property in the YML. Whatever we have a properties, we can use that.
Can you define like different? Can you like do you have circular dependency injection? Like how do you resolve?
Circular dependency injection, that means we have a class A and we have a class B, and class A is waiting for the class B. We have a field injection, that is the main things to happen, the circular dependency injections. So there will be waiting for each other, right? Class A will wait for class B, class B will wait for class A. So there will be circular dependency. To make sure we can use that constructor injection, setter injection. So constructor is the main reason to happen the circular dependency. So we can use the setter injection in that case, or lazy annotation also we can use that.
Okay. Do you have any idea on memory leak like Java?
Yeah, memory leak occurs because we have a like when in our code, if we have if we have a thread you misuse, if your database connection is not closed, if you have a static collection is unreferenced, which a garbage collector will not able to automatically clean up that process, that things. So that the reason memory leak will be happen. So what we have to do, we are doing that memory leak to identify. We are using the visual VM to identify that memory leak where it is happen, and we can close that. We can prevent. We can using that garbage collector automatically, manually we can do that also.
Okay.
Using
Like,
visual VM we can
if you have
identify
any-
that things. Yeah.
Like if you have got any production issue, like how do you debug in your, and how do you identify
So
the issue?
basically, if we get any kind of issue in production level, so what we are doing, so first of all, we don't have a production access, production DB access. So we ask for the database, like we have a Kafka message table, which is we using for auditing and auditing purpose. If anything goes wrong, then we can check that last offset ID and like payload and all. So what we'll do, I will just ask for related entities, like if you have Kafka message table, deal table and all. So we'll ask and we'll identify is there anything goes wrong and all. So after that we'll reproduce that issue in local, our like SIT environment we have. So we'll reproduce in that local. Then if anything goes wrong, then we'll just check that correlation ID. Also in the Splunk we can identify that issue during the time period. We have a time period, right? So we can check that things. So that's how we can identify our production issues and all.
Like where you are checking the logs, like you are checking the Splunk?
Yeah, we are checking using a correlation ID, time is trace ID. We are checking the logs for that particular events and particular deal.
Yeah, do you have a Dynatrace in your project? Like we are using Dynatrace like for checking the request, how it was processing from one request to another request.
No, Dynatrace we are not using. We are using basically Elastic APM tool and Splunk tools. Splunk is Elastic APM where we find our database queries slow and all, and Splunk basically we are using for tracing the logs and all.
Like how do you optimize the performance in your application, microservice application? Like how many ways you can do it?
So if we want to optimize our application for performance, what will that we have to just make sure if we can use that indexing to, so that we are not indexing, that means is only for searching query we are using. And we can also use that and we make sure n+1 problem will not occur. Okay, where we can use that we can prevent the n+1 problem. Also we can use the API gateway and circuit breaker pattern. Also we can use if anything goes wrong, then it will not keep calling to the microservices. It's just fallback method will be called at the time. It will be in data will be consistent, data will not used. Also we can use that Redis for the cache memory. Yeah, this kind of things we can do that to improve the performance. And pagination, n+1 problem, Redis and caching. These are things.
Why we use for the pagination? Why would we use pagination?
pagination, if you have I just said, right, if you have a large data set, then we are not returning to the client whole data. We are just returning particular data, right? So at the time we can use.
Yeah, in that we have.
Yeah.
Okay. In that we have some types like offset pagination cases.
Yeah, offset pagination. Internally it will call that. Correct.
Yeah. Can you please tell me the difference? Like, what is the offset pagination key set?
Yeah,
Like,
internally
which is preferable?
Hibernate query will execute the queries like limit where we can define the limit, and offset will be there. So how many datas we want to load and all. So where we can internally, it will uses that things, that queries. Hibernate will be used.
Do you have any idea on JPQL?
Yeah, JPQL query we have. Yeah. Basically, we are writing the native query, like using query annotations and where we pass the query and all. I have idea on JPQL also.
Navin, can you ask him to write any program?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, mate, just take any notepad.
Okay.
So if you have the any like target number 12, so if you have the list of the integers, you can take 6, 4, 5, and 3, 7, and 2, 1. So the target number is 10.
Target number?
Target number is 10.
10, which is not present.
Yeah, which is not present. So you need to, the target number should be the sum of the 2 digits from the above list.
Okay. If
you need to find the combination.
Okay, we have to find the combination of 2 lists, right? Like 6 plus 6, 4. Okay. That is
6, 4 and 5, 3 plus 7, like that you need to find. These 2 combination. You need to write that logic.
Okay. Let me write it. So what we'll do, we'll just use for int I should to 0 I dot length I plus. We can use them has map to better time complexity.
Okay. What is the use of this singleton class?
Singleton class, basically we are using, it is a kind of design pattern, conditional design pattern. So where we are using that, like our in day-to-day real-time example, if I talk about, we are using the loggers, we are using the database connection. So we are just creating at one time and just sharing of to whole the class, that database and loggers and all. So singleton is like we are creating only one instance of that class. And then that instance will be used for other classes and all. So that's the thing. So if you want to create the singleton class, to make sure we have to construct it as a private, and then there are 2 ways to create the singleton class, like lazy and eager. So lazy is the best way to create, where we are defining the instance as a null in that while creating the class, and then in that get instance method we are just defining that logic. That's it.
Okay. Do you know n plus 1 problem?
Yeah, n plus 1 problem basically I have faced in my project. So n plus 1 problems, like we have a one parent and n number of child, like we have one deal and n number of orders, right? So when I loading the one deal, when I fetching the deal, then if consider we have thousands of orders, so thousands of order query will be executed. So there will be a performance issue. So to prevent that, I used entity graph join fetch to prevent that things. Basically, if you execute one query, and then it will be executing a number of queries. So basically, one to many relationship with any kind of classes, there will be causing the problem.
Yeah, okay. What is when we will get the 405 error code?
It is a method not allowed. It's like any kind of, if you are dealing with any like things like in payload you are just not entering any email correct and all, so there will be a method will not be allowed. I think in that case 405 is the method not allowed.
What is the best practices for the REST API?
So okay, so best practices with the REST API is like, if you like, first of all we just use the DTO object. We are returning the DTO object in our NA methods. We are not returning whole object for the client, right? So, and second things, we have to make sure versioning, so backward compatibility is there. Second thing, we are using proper response code. We are just sending proper response code, response entity and all. And that's the things. And in the like URL, we should name should be a specific of the URL, not like the, if you are creating the orders, not, it will be not like that, create order, update order, delete order. It will just like you are passing that request mapping whole class, you will just passing that URL, that is the base URL. Inside, if you are using the put mapping, paste mapping, that's it.
Okay, at the rate valid annotation use and at the rate validated. What is the use of these two?
At the rate valid, right?
Yes.
Yeah, at the rate valid, if you want to like suppose you have a like name, email ID, so it will be a valid. Like we are just validation, we are doing that, right? It will be valid, then it will be passed to that controller and all like that. So where we can use
at the rate validated. At the rate, what about at the rate validated?
Validated is the same and valid. At the rate valid or validated, right? I have seen valid annotation.
Okay, you don't know about validated?
I know, but I haven't seen in this project actually.
Okay. What is the use of, tell me the difference between the at the rate configuration and at the rate component annotations.
At the rate configurations is like a class where we are defining that it is a class level annotation. A component is also a class level annotation. Basically, we are creating IOC will manage the object, right? But in configuration, what we are doing in configuration, like suppose if you have a third party, any kind of third party injection and any kind of security related things, so you have to define the bean of the object, right? So configuration annotation is a class level annotation where you're defining the bean using bean annotations, where you're returning the object of that class. Okay, then that class will use by other classes. The Spring will provide automatically. Okay, so there will be no any kind of error. Component is like if we are using that util class, any kind of logger class, we are using component annotation. Basically, at runtime, Spring IOC will give the object to us. So that's the things. That's the major advantage. Component is a generic advantage. It's annotated with the. It's meta annotated. It's like it has a like configuration, repository, service annotations, and that controller annotation and all. So it is like a generic annotations. Component is like, yeah.
Yeah, Amit. While we communicating service to service, what type of security you are using?
So we have to, if you want to communicate with service to service, so we are using a Spring framework, Spring Security. Using Spring Security, we can do that, and also we can use the JWT token. We are passing to the token for the client, and once that token is valid, then that will be accessible for that particular URL and all. And also we can use the authorization framework, Auth 2.0.
Which one you used in your project?
I use role-based access token and security also. Using pre-authorized, I pass the role. Yeah.
How the token is generated and how it is validated.
So what? So consider you have one application, microservices, and second application, product service, right? So if you want to get the product of all the product, then what you will just first you have to authenticate the user service, right? So user service, you will pass the username and password. So if your user service microservices is secured, so that will be validated. Is particular user correct or not? If particular user correct, then it will generate the token to get that product, right? Once client will get the token, then it will hit the URL for that particular product kind of controller, any kind of URL. So to get the all products, so that particular URL will be then all the product will be getting at the time. So as like, yeah.
How do you manage the request endpoint to make security?
To make security, we have to, like, as I know that Spring Security gives us like like if you use a Spring dependency in our project, so all the URLs, whatever URLs you have in controller method, that will be secured by default, right? So you have to configure as per your requirement. So you just create a class. In that class you just enable web security annotations, and then inside that we have a method which is written that as Spring security filter, and then where we can pass the URL, whatever URL you want to authenticate, whatever URL you want to permit all, just to there is no authenticated, and then where we can use that using request method, you can pass that URL, and authenticated method we can authenticate that, and then we have also permit all, any kind of permit. If you want to not secure, then you can use the permit all method. So that's the things we can do that. And also as per our requirement, we can also load the user from the database. That is a user detail service we have, right?
Yeah, okay, Amit.
Yeah.
Any questions?
I'm just asking about any project, kind of what if I get selected in this project company, and then actually I have worked on a Capgemini before. This is my second company, Accenture, and before my first company was a Capgemini. So I'm just looking for that what kind of project I need to work on if I get selected and all. So that's the things.
Yes. Specifically, I don't know about the project. So
Okay.
maybe inside, get into maybe multiple positions is there.
Okay.
So it's kind of mostly Spring Boot microservices products only. As of now, we are using 17 and above versions Java.
Okay. Great. Okay, Naveen. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Naveen. Yeah.